Only a few years ago, Chunkz was a universally loved YouTuber. Chunkz is one of them guys that if you don't like, it just means that you're bad vibes. Just a fan who made his dreams come true, becoming one of the most mainstream YouTubers in the UK. But that mainstream attention led to, in his words, his demise. Because when Chunkz' name is typed into Twitter now, it's much easier to find something negative than positive. Each year that goes on, it feels like more fans are turning their back on him. So how did one of the UK's most beloved creators end up becoming one of the most criticised? Chunkz grew up in northwest London in a Somali family. When he was a teenager, YouTube was the thing, KSI was dominating, and like a lot of kids, Chunkz thought, I can do that. Through a lot of consistency and sacrifices, Chunkz grew to become one of the UK's fastest growing creators, and by 2017, he was already collaborating with the creators he used to idolise. Chunkz, along with 4 other creators, made a group called the Beta Squad. They moved into a big house together as friends, made content, and helped each other grow, and that's exactly what happened. Beta Squad became competition for the Sidemen, the biggest group on YouTube, but they weren't trying to be the next Sidemen. They were something different. As the Sidemen grew and became more commercial, the Beta Squad brought something different, a different culture and different banter. They represented a new wave of UK creators, more diverse, and Beta Squad were growing as the people's favourites, a major UK YouTube group who were majority black and Muslim. Young fans who had never seen themselves in the UK mainstream finally had people who sounded, dressed, and laughed like them. No one really hated on Beta Squad and friends, and at the centre of it all was Chunkz. In 2020, him and Young Philly played at Soccer Aid, the UK's biggest charity football match. Chunkz was the face of the brand. Out of all the Beta Squad members, he was the one doing TV appearances, brand deals, and music. Chunkz had broken through. He was the go-to personality for any presenting duties, first working with Foot Asylum, then signing a deal exclusively with JD for an undisclosed amount, even going as far to appear on British quiz shows. But all that exposure came with a catch. Chunkz had built an image as the good guy, always smiling, always respectful, the guy who could never do wrong, and he doubled down on that image in 2020 when he announced he was never going to release music again.
It just hit me, bro. Randomly, one day I was like, you know what, I don't feel right about doing this. Obviously, getting closer with the religion, praying now for the last 2 years, alhamdulillah. So it's just a thing where I was like, you know what, I'll feel bad every time I even associate with music and releasing it and stuff. So I think it was just that time. And obviously, music kind of like decreases your iman, your faith, for people that don't know. I don't think they can go hand in hand.
Comments were flooded with respect. Even people who weren't religious admired the courage, but that decision came with a lot of expectations. From that moment on, the public didn't just see Chunkz as a creator, they saw him as a representative, a Muslim role model, and that's where the tension began. Saying it publicly meant he could never go back on his word. The public would hold him accountable, but that would be the least of his problems.
What it ended up meaning was that I open myself up for criticism now, because whenever I make a mistake, anything religion-based, it's, what happened? Do you want to become a better Muslim? I said, no, I wanted to stop making music. It's not about me listening to music. It's not about me going to this place. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was, my opinion is, I opened up my life for criticism. So now whenever I make a mistake, I basically say to you guys, cuss me for my mistake. That's what people perceive that video as.
His first experience of this was in 2022 when Chunkz uploaded a picture to Instagram with Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X, openly gay and known for pushing boundaries with religious symbolism, became the lightning rod of the internet that day. To most people, it was seen as an innocent photo, but to others, especially within parts of Chunkz' own community, it was seen as betrayal. They said he was supporting haram behaviour, contradicting his faith, and selling out, and the backlash was brutal. Not just criticism, but straight up hate. Thousands of people who once praised his religious decision were now tearing him down, and for the first time, Chunkz went silent and took a break from social media completely. That silence spoke louder than anything, because the truth was, he couldn't win. If he defended himself, he'd alienate part of his faith community. If he apologized, he'd look insincere. If he ignored it, the noise would only grow louder. For the first time, the guy known for laughter and good vibes was stuck in the middle of something, the balance between faith and fame. When he returned, the jokes were still there, but you could tell he knew things were different now. Being mainstream, everything he said or did would be analysed. Beta Squad was still dominant UK creators, and Chunkz branched out even more, this time into podcasting. The Chunkz and Philly Show launched in October 2023 and instantly became one of the biggest podcasts in the space, each video getting between 500,000 to 1 million views. And for the most part, no controversy. The podcast featured many of the UK's biggest personalities, and after 1 year of successful episodes, they announced a live show in October of 2024. But just 8 days before the show, Young Philly was arrested and charged with multiple serious offences during a trip to Australia. The live show was cancelled and the podcast put on pause indefinitely. Philly's charges had nothing to do with Chunkz. He wasn't in Australia at the time, but fans started to question him anyway. For someone seen as the golden boy of UK YouTube, being connected to something that dark changed how people looked at him. Fans wanted a response, and eventually they got one.
Yes, my peoples, like everyone, I've heard the reports coming out of Australia. Whilst I understand many of you want my reaction on it, as this is an ongoing court case, I hope you guys can understand that I can't and won't be commenting on it publicly. So yeah, I've just come on here to basically let you know the reasons as to why I can't. Love.
I mean, yeah, obviously. What else is he supposed to say? What did people want him to say? They expect him to throw Philly under the bus. Chunkz would obviously be biased towards Philly, as it's a friend. So he probably is just hoping Philly's innocent, but he has to be neutral. You really think Chunkz is biased towards Philly in a good way because he knows him? It's the other way around, dude. Chunkz knows way more about Philly's behavior around girls than the rest of the public. Of course, Chunkz is just coming with a non-statement like this because it's a legal issue. You're all so naive if you think Chunkz and friends of him didn't know about Philly not behaving with women. There's been allegations and sus clips for a long time. Each year, it's like Chunkz goes through a period of serious hate. In 2024, he didn't directly do anything himself, but his friend group, his close friends, were in seriously hot water. I like Chunkz, but I hate the people he hangs out with. Philly, Harry Pinero, Maya Jama. For me, it's specifically Philly and Harry I hate. Everyone else he hangs out with is fine. Harry Pinero, another of Chunkz' close friends, also lost a large number of his audience after a podcast clip surfaced of him.
I don't want to say who it is, yeah, but man clarted this girl and her ute was on the bed, at the edge of the bed.
You've done that. You've done it.
At the edge.
Don't judge it. You done that.
I'm laughing at the edge of the bed.
What's up with that? You done that though?
It was early doors as well. The baby just woke up. She breastfed him. It was probably like 9 months.
9 months? No, wait. You stopped for her to feed.
She was obviously I was trying to do my thing and then he went.
So you stopped.
So obviously she breastfed. She was there for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was even trying to.
I know.
She was like, stop.
Wow.
That nigga need to go to jail.
You are a sicko.
Is it me? Am I the sicko or is she the sicko? How?
A lot of Chunkz' fan base didn't mess with this clip, and after seeing it, stopped being fans of Harry Pinero's entirely. And by early 2025, Chunkz was in a strange spot. He wasn't cancelled by any means, but he wasn't celebrated either. For years, he'd been the smiling face on every brand campaign, the guy everyone liked. Now, any foot out of line, and he would be cooked. And as fans thought that Chunkz' closest friends' true colours were now coming out, they felt it was only a matter of time until the same thing happened to him. After the Chunkz and Philly show got terminated, he did what made the most sense. He started his own show, the Chunkz Show, and at first, it looked promising. Fans praised him for coming back, for addressing Philly's situation briefly, but keeping things light. Chunkz is such a green flag. You can feel that he's a genuine good guy, deserves everything good and all the success he gets, a legend. But it wouldn't take long for Chunkz to be back in controversy once again. In episode 4 of the Chunkz Show, Chunkz had Maya Jama come on to feature as a guest. When asked who she preferred out of the two YouTube groups, Sidemen or Beta Squad, she gave a strange answer.
Who do you prefer, Beta Squad or Sidemen?
It's a very clear Beta Squad for me.
Yes!
I'm way closer with them lot.
Yeah.
And I like Toby, I get on with Toby, and I get on with KSI.
Yeah.
But I don't really know the rest of them.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they're like my
Not your kind of peeps,
it's different. But like you said, private school, different upbringing to us.
Yeah, it's just,
Just
you know
more
what I mean?
relate. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
that's nothing wrong with
No
it.
offense, they smashed it. Well done from being rich.
Yeah. What?
Ironically, KSI, one of the members Maya mentioned, was only one of 2 Sidemen members who did go to private school, but even still, his parents worked overtime so he could have a good education. The other members came from working class backgrounds, just like the Beta Squad, so when Maya implied the Sidemen got famous from being rich, it didn't really make sense, and members of the Sidemen crashed out.
The Maya Jama stuff.
Ah, congrats on making it from being rich.
Shut
up! You've never uttered a word to me. My dad was selling drugs in the alleyway opposite my house. I was stealing the drugs to sell myself. I hate this life, man. Simon went to private school. Come on.
Legit. It was literally just me and Simon. That's it.
It's so funny. What a shit clip.
Oh my
Congrats on making it from being rich. All right.
Bro, my parents had to work 2-3 jobs just to get me into private.
People didn't expect Maya Jama to know about this stuff because she wasn't really from this space. Chunkz, however, is a different story. Honestly, never thought Chunkz would not stand up for the people that brought him into this scene and just nod his head and agree with Maya. fire. A bit weird. Well done on being rich. What a jealous, spiteful thing to say to discredit all the hard work they've put in over their career. Blindly judging people because of their skin color. Also, Chunkz have a bit of backbone for once. Chunkz had upset his fans yet again because most fans of the Sidemen were also fans of Beta Squad. Sure, their fans like to make it a rivalry and pick a favourite between the two, but that was mainly just a bit of banter and only something the fans did. So when Chunkz started making more comments about the Sidemen again 2 episodes later, the fans had had enough.
Your least favourite in both groups. We gotta do it, man.
Least favourite.
Someone you don't get along with the most, or maybe you're not as close to. There's nothing wrong with that. You can say Vic, bro. Don't worry, man.
Nah, because I actually like Vic.
Vic, the quiet, hard-working one, is the last person people wanted to see disrespected. So when Chunkz joked about it, even lightly, fans didn't hear banter, they heard arrogance. Vic's a good guy. JJ chooses friends wisely. Can't say the same about people you're affiliated with. Chunkz' behaviour in this video just screams jealousy. The Beta Squad will never be as big as the Sidemen. There is no rivalry. The Chunkz Show was honestly a disaster. Within 6 episodes, the Chunkz hate train had left the station and it was going faster than it ever had before. This show was meant to be the clean slate, knocking off the name Philly and starting fresh, but all it had done is turn the fans against him even more. And ironically, nothing actually changed between the two groups. They were still friends, but the fans didn't see it that way. Chunkz' reputation was slowly being destroyed. So instead of destroying Chunkz' rep, why don't you take the next 5 seconds and destroy the subscribe button instead? If you're watching this on your phone, minimize the video and hit subscribe right now. If you're on TV, get off your ass and get the remote and hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you. They say you're a product of your environment. So when Chunkz' friends started making headlines for all the wrong reasons, people questioned how different could he be, and so people were waiting for a slip up. And because Chunkz was always so likable, the guy with 0 haters, remember, Chunkz is one of them guys that if you don't like, it just means that you're bad vibes. Now, fans were starting to say that he changed and that the fame had got to his head. Watching a lot of these clips of Chunkz, I just feel like saying stop. Please stop talking. Don't add more onto that. When you're already under heavy fire, podcasting is one of the last things I'd be recommending someone to do. And by now, you'd think that he would have learnt his lesson and stayed away from the podcast for a while. But in November of 2025, it happened again. During an appearance on Rapper Chip's podcast, Chunkz was asked if there was anything he would ever disown his kids for.
One thing that'll make you disown your child.
Something ridiculous like murdering his own mother.
Man.
Something mental. Leaving the religion. I feel like it's big drip. You can't do that one there.
If he wanted to not be Muslim, you'd disown him.
Yeah, I would say, yo, that can't run for me. I know I'll always have that unconditional love where I see the youth and if I see him in a pass, I'm always going to try and stop it. But I feel like having that want to love this person without being under the fold of Islam,
yeah,
I can't power that, man.
Here, he could have said anything, but he chose to be honest. But in Chunkz' position, is honesty the best policy? Whether you agree with his opinion or not, it's an opinion. I'm not here to get into all the details, but one thing I can tell you is that things would have been better if Chunkz just gave a different answer. A hypothetical question like this could have just had an answer, putting pineapple on pizza, peeing in the pool, but he chose to tell the truth. He's a celeb. People will point out his flaws regardless. This will pass like all his other controversies. However, there are a lot of people using this to call him a hypocrite, etc. The guy gave up a lucrative music career to avoid sinning. I think as a community, we shouldn't be too harsh on him considering he could have been a total degenerate and promote things that would actually cause fitna or harm. You can never win when you're in the public eye. On balance, Chunkz represents us well and is an example of Somali youth excellence in the West. Let's not tear him down for minor mistakes. At this point, I don't even think people hate Chunkz. They just got too used to him being perfect. Every year it's something new, some new controversy, some new reason to cancel him. And so people have their own opinion, but for me, he's not some villain. Maybe the hate will fade, maybe the hate will stay. One thing I feel is that this next year is not going to get any easier for Chunkz. With Philly's court case possibly coming to an end sometime soon, whatever the outcome is, I don't think this is going to be the last time Chunkz is involved in any controversy in his career.